There he is, and he's back in the main event this Saturday, UFC Apex Las Vegas, in a key welterweight clash. You're looking at the winningest welterweight in UFC history, Neil Magny, Haitian sensation, fired up to talk to you. How are you feeling entering this challenging bout with Carlos Prates?
I feel great. I mean, I had a good training camp. Things are going well. So going into this fight, I feel great. I feel like things are lining up for me now.
You've had this string of wins, losses, your last 8 fights. How important is it to put together, a winning streak here at your age, looking to make that run at the title?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was just about getting my life to a point where I can actually go ahead and get back to focus on what was important in the fighting aspect of it. Over the last 2 years, it's been literally a roller coaster of things going in my life. I mean, you look at 2019, I didn't fight at all that year. I came back 2020, won 3 fights in a row, and then it's kind of been like this hiccup of like, win one here, lose one there, win two here, lose one there kind of thing. And just not been synonymous with my career thus far. But over this past year, I feel like I've really weeded out some of those issues that were going on personally that kind of led to those kinds of outcomes in my last couple of fights. And now I feel like I'm in a good place to start another run.
That's great to hear from you. To see, I mean, you want to be in your best condition every time, but that's hard in this game. So, do we need to realize as media that you guys are battling something every fight, no matter what, because of just the nature of this game?
Yeah, I mean, you have injuries in itself, not to mention your personal life. So, like every single fight, there's something new going into it. And then the biggest part is, as an athlete, you must take accountability for it as well. Like the fight against Ian Gary. That was a fight that I was going into. I was very confident. I thought I trained well enough for it. Went out there, tried my best, and just got beat completely. And then the realization from there was like, all right, you know what? Going out there competing against the best guys in the world, 10 days of training is not enough. You need to submerge yourself in the actual training camp and give it your all to go out there and expect to be successful. I get that there are times in my 20s, in my early 30s, that I was able to go out there and do that, win fights on a week's notice, 2 weeks notice, 3 days notice, and it was great. But the reality of the sport, the reality of where I'm at in life now, it's just not the same. I have to really prepare myself physically and mentally to go into these fights. And I can't take a moment for granted thinking that the work that I did 10 years ago is going to carry me through today.
No doubt about it. Do you still get jazzed up this deep into your career? You fought so many big names, but when they call you and say main event, your name on the poster, does that still matter at this point in your career?
Oh, 100%. I mean, like even going into this fight, I mean, I was not content, but I was pretty convinced that I remember my coach came back from Las Vegas and he was pretty much pulled me aside and had a conversation like, all right, cool. How do we map out the next 4 to 6 months? I was in Las Vegas cornering another fighter. I spoke to the matchmakers. They pretty much said that we're booked for the year. No more fights are happening and that kind of thing. And when my coach came back and told me that, I was kind of like, well, that sucks that I can't get something booked like officially on paper, but there's a lot of welterweight fights on the cards to close out the year. I'll be ready in case somebody falls out. I'll be ready in case opportunity presents itself. So I just started. I jumped in the gym. I was helping my training partners get ready for their fights. I was training day to day out, trying to improve for my last fight. So when the UFC called me, they literally just gave me a date and location. I didn't even have an opponent yet. They literally called me and said, "Hey Neil, we're trying to work a couple things out. We have a main event slot November 9th. In Las Vegas. I have no idea who the opponent is yet. Would you be interested?" I'm like, hell yeah, count me in. Like I'm literally preparing to go out there and be the best version of myself to beat anybody UFC puts in front of me. So when this opportunity came about, I was like, oh, this is it. This is perfect. I'm ready for this opportunity.
Well, maybe that's what Habib meant by just please send location. That's all I need. Send me
Literally,
when I need to be there. That's certainly
literally.
been synonymous with your career, facing anyone at any time and really being a consistent, difficult out. So when you're a veteran in this game, which you are, and you're fighting a guy who's coming up, who's red hot, Carlos Prates fits that example. How much of you are you looking at tape and just trying to find the weakness or the part of his game that isn't well-rounded that you can exploit?
Yes and no. I mean, the difficult part about it is like a lot of these young guys that I'm fighting, there's just not much footage to see on these guys. I mean, they have a lot of early finishes and that kind of stuff. So there's really not much to see as far as like, all right, cool, maybe I could do this, maybe I could do that, because these guys are still developing. Like a guy like Carlos Prates, like sure, he's majority of his career has been kickboxing southpaw, but if he's anything like me or like I've been coming up in this game, he's working other aspects of his game to constantly improve and that kind of thing. So if I focus too much on film and things that he's done in the past, I kind of set myself up for failure as far as like what he may present on the actual fight night. And when it comes to me, it's more so like looking at all the footage that I have over the last 12 years now being in the UFC and kind of like exploring myself and asking myself, like, okay, cool. How did I lose these particular fights? What are some things that my opponent can look to exploit within the fight? One of the things that's been obvious in a lot of fights is that lead calf kick. I mean, Lorenz Larkin put in that game and out on the game plan, and literally every single fighter since then has came out and tried to capitalize on that. So for me, it's like, all right, cool. What are some of the tendencies that I have? What are some of the consistent errors that I make? And what are ways that I can improve? Where by the time I go out there and fight night, I'm not the same fighter that these guys seen on film, and I'm a better, more of a version of myself. So it's less about focusing on the film for my opponent, more so about focusing on the film for myself and see where I need to make improvements.
Sure, sure. And you're still ranked in this game and still provide such a tough out. But I know you've got big intentions. Should we no longer look at age in this era of how well you guys take care of yourselves, the recovery time and all of that? Because you don't look like a 37-year-old fighter. Do you feel like one? I mean, it used to be a death sentence, but now Glover Teixeira won the belt in his 40s, right? It happens.
For sure. I mean, and it's like with anything. Like when I first started out with mixed martial arts, I mean, you have your high school coaches and things else. They're throwing statistics at you, like, oh, only 1% of you could ever make it to making a professional sport. Only this amount of you would ever play at the collegiate level. Only this level of you guys actually would ever play this game or this sport outside of high school, or whatever. And when you hear those statistics, when you hear those odds, for many people, it's kind of like, oh man, like my chance is up. Like, why should I pursue this career? Why should I pursue this path when the statistics say that I'm likely not to be successful at it anyway? And I've always been the opposite. I'm like, well, cool. I'm the 1%. I'm the exception. I'm the one that's going to make the difference and actually get it done. So when it comes to me, where I'm at in my career, like, am I obliviated as far as to what's going on and what's took place over the last couple of years? No. I mean, I've seen the losses. I've experienced the losses. I've seen how the outings look and that kind of thing. But at the end of it, I've seen guys like Michael Bisping, guys like Glover Teixeira, guys like DC, all who have won titles in their late 30s, early 40s, and that kind of thing. And though it was unlikely, it was possible. And rather than focus on the unlikelihood of me getting the same kind of outcome, I focus like, all right, cool. What does that look like for me to get out there and get it done? I mean, perfect example. We have a welterweight matchup at the end in December where you have Shavkat going against Bilal. Bilal pulls out, and literally the UFC is scrambling from number 1 all the way down to number 8 to figure out who can we put in there for potential interim title slot or whatever. So I've seen crazy things happen. I mean, even the most recent title defense at light heavyweight. I mean, the number 8 ranked guy went out there and fought for the title because that was who was available. That was the fight that made the most sense, and we seem to get done. So for me, I don't focus on the statistics and the odds and that kind of stuff. I'm more so focused on the work that needs to be done and having that vision of being the guy to get it done.
That's such a great way to look at it because there is so much distraction in this game. Social media, you can harp on your own defeats and get caught up in it, but you almost need to reinvent your own mind every single fight camp and fight cycle to almost, I mean, do you find that the mental training is as important or if not more than the physical in this game, especially at this point in your career?
Yes, 100%. I mean, Molly's, it is mental. I mean, there's a lot more doubt that seeps in at this game, at this stage of the game compared to early on. Early on, it's kind of like you just like when I got to the UFC, I was 7-1. I literally had 1 defeat, 7 wins. I was undefeated as an amateur. I had all these great things going in there. So I didn't know what defeat was back then. I was like, oh, cool. I'm gonna within 2 years, I'm gonna be the UFC champion and blah blah blah. And like the bar was set really high early on to go out there and get those things done. And then like that first year goes by, like, damn, I didn't do it yet. The second year goes by, like, damn, I didn't do it yet. And now 12 years later, it's like, damn, I'm still going for it. So like, there's definitely some doubt that seeps in from time to time, but the benefit of it is still having that like optimistic look on life. Like, all right, I can still get it done. The ability like to sit back and still dream, so to speak. Like at 37 years old, I can still dream as the 21-year-old. It's like, I can make this. I make this happen. I'm gonna get it done. And that's the exciting part. That's what keeps me going at this point.
Well, you got so much experience. I know you work hard on your craft and adding to your game. So it is a lifelong, never ending process of bettering yourself. So let's talk about this matchup. Prates, exciting. We established that. But he's coming out and saying, yeah, third or fourth round, I'm going to finish Magny. Do you like it when opponents say that? Or are you like, yeah, bring that shit to me. Let's go.
Oh yeah, I'm already smiling at it. Like, oh yeah. I mean, it sets the bar high. I mean, for me, it's like I just love competing. I mean, I'm a guy to where if I'm driving to the gym and I'm exiting the highway and I see one of my training partners exit a highway next to me, it's a race. Always constantly out there competing. So when a guy says like, "Oh, I'm gonna go out there, I'm going to do this," I'm like, "Oh, really? You think it's that easy, huh? All right, let's go. I'm gonna go out there and get it done. You think you can fish me in 4? I'm gonna get it done in 2." So I like it. I like that competition aspect that it brings out of me. I like when the bar is set high and it's like, "All right, cool. Go ahead and bring out the best version of myself. Give me that motivation I need to get over the edge, the next hurdle, whatever that may be." I'm excited for it. I know what I'm capable of. I know what I'm going to go out there and do Saturday night. So the more pressure that puts on me to perform, I love it. I'm gonna shine in the moment. I can't wait.
Well, you've got a lot of statistical success and buildup, not just what you've done in terms of having the most wins in welterweight history, the most combined fight time. I mean, there's a lot of these things, but how about most importantly, if you beat Carlos Prates on Saturday, you move into a second place tie for all-time wins in the UFC, which would still put you a couple behind Jim Miller, who is still going at it. What does that mean to you when you're not done striving? But look at what you're accomplishing. I mean, you're on the verge of being, the most successful fighter in the promotion's history if this keeps up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely fortunate for it. I'm grateful for the opportunities that have been given over the last years to even be at this point. I mean, the best way I've heard it explained is there was an older guy that was speaking one time. He said his father always gave him advice where he said, was it aim for the moon. In case you miss, you still end up amongst the stars, so to speak. And for me, that's always meant like, all right, cool. I'm still aiming for that UFC title shot. I'm still aiming to be UFC champion. That's still what my goal is. And I still honestly believe that I can get that accomplished before my career is over with. But in the event of some crazy thing that doesn't happen, whatever else may be, if I look back at what I accomplished over the last 20 years that I've been submerged in the sport, I can definitely be proud of it and be happy with what I've done. But the biggest thing is like keeping that focus, keeping that drive, keeping that desire to still be one of the best out there and keep going with it. I mean, at the end of it, 5 years from now, 6 years from now, I look back at my career, I'm like, I did pretty damn good for myself. I mean, it'd be a great thing, but right now, in the moment, I'm still shooting for that moon. I'm still shooting for as high as possible to see where I end up.
So would you say becoming the winningest fighter, even if it happens on the way, it's not the goal, right?
For sure. I mean, it's great, and I definitely appreciate it thus far. I'm definitely grateful for the opportunities that I've had to compete. But like, that's not a stamp on my career just yet. You know what I mean? There's still more that I want to accomplish. There's still more that needs to get done within the UFC. There's still more I believe I can accomplish as well. So though I appreciate where I am thus far, what I accomplished thus far, I know I'm far from finished yet, and I just have to keep that vision set, keep that focus. So it's like, all right, cool. It's good you accomplished this, good you accomplished that, but it's not over yet. Keep focused, keep looking ahead, keep your head down, and keep working, keep moving forward, kind of thing.
Hey, but if you end up in a tie with Jim Miller, the best way to break that tie is to face off at a catchweight and find out who's the winner. I'm just thinking of fun gimmicks, but you got an important one on Saturday. You're number 15 in the division. You take out Carlos Prates. What happens next?
Man, if going in this year, ending this year 2-1 with the big win over Carlos Prates definitely sets me up for a great 2025. I mean, at that point, the possibilities are endless. I mean, there's a huge fight happening with Buckley and Ian Gary at the end of the year. There's a lot of other welterweights that just competed. Leon Edwards is up there. And there's a lot of interesting matchups that could take place with a big win Saturday night. So I'm definitely focused on getting the job done here Saturday night. But I know that after this win, after Saturday night, the possibilities are endless at that point.
Can't wait to see. Neil, thanks for the time. Never got a chance to interview in the past. It was a delight. I really wish you well this weekend.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Great chatting with you as well.